Hello, welcome back to SwansCast. Got a little bit of new format today, quite exciting. We're using StreamYard, it's not what we normally use. So we are adjusting to it, so bear with us. Hopefully the production quality will start to go up. I'm still playing around with things, so I think over the next couple of weeks, maybe it will start to look a bit better, but yeah, we'll get there at some point. And Lee's come back to join me today, so welcome back, Lee.
Hello. Good to be back.
Had a busy couple of weeks with your exams. How did they go?
It was all right. Just carnage. It's been manic in work for me and exams on the side, so I've been just out of everything. Not even started Christmas yet.
Yeah.
And now it starts for me. So the Christmas diet has started as well, which is good.
Christmas diet. I mean, I don't know what you do at Christmas, but usually we just go out, buy all the like chocolate, biscuits, or like crisps, all the crap that you eat. Yeah, we put it in got like a utility room. We put it in there and forget about half of it. Or like we'll go in there now and again and grab something and eat it, but then after Christmas we're just left with loads of stuff that we just didn't get through.
Oh yeah.
So we've got like a desk in the sort of kitchen area. It's like dining area more than kitchen. And I was just like, all right, we'll just put it all on there. Got like a tablecloth on there, like Christmassy one. We just got it all on there. So you walk past it all the time. So hopefully by the time Christmas is finished, there'll be nothing left. Because the worst thing is like you're in January and you're like, oh, I'm going to start eating a bit better now. And you still got half your Christmas food to get through.
You need to get rid of it, don't you? You try and get rid of it, then start your diet.
Yeah, but, so it's all that.
I'm start with like the opposite. We always buy loads of chocolate and stuff to put on like the kitchen table and stuff for just in case people come over.
That's
and we just end up eating it ourselves.
So people can get stuck in because we did probably buy too much. Because I buy it and forget what we bought, and when I just pulled it all out, it was like it's quite a bit there.
Yeah, but no, that's good. Fine. I'm ready for lots of eating now. I'm in the zone.
Yeah. Have you done much this week then, or just chilling?
This week, what day are we today? Tuesday. I think weekend. I was in Wrexham for a bit and Shrewsbury, which was nice. And then went to see Beauty and the Beast on the weekend in the theatre, which was good. So just proper kicking Christmas off.
Didn't that conflict with the football, I heard?
No, never. I've got my sources.
Got your priorities right, yeah.
That was in the night. It was in the night.
Fair enough. Did you? Well, had a bit of a normal week for me, just in work and all the rest of it. But did watch the F1 on Sunday, which was very dramatic.
I watched it for the first time. I never watch F1, but I did watch it on Sunday.
As a neutral, so because I'd imagine if you never watched it before, you'd be quite neutral to the sport, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your immediate reaction to the ending?
Well, when I watched it, all day I was saying to my partner, I was saying, I really don't like F1. I said at the beginning now, Hamilton's taken over, and it's likely that it'll be that all the way through now. Nothing's going to change. And I was like, it's so boring. Look, see, I told you I shouldn't have bothered watching it. He's going to be this all the way through. And then right at the end, I was like, oh, actually, it was quite good because he took him over on the last lap. And to be honest, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't realize what the controversy was. Like they were all saying then, like, oh, it was dodgy. And I thought, oh, that was really good. They just had a lap. They just had a sudden death lap essentially.
Yeah. But did you think it was like fair from what you saw?
What I saw, yeah, because I didn't understand the rules. But then when obviously I was listening to it afterwards and they explained what happened, then yeah, I kind of understood that it was a bit dodgy.
Can you imagine losing like the record-breaking title like that?
I know, yeah.
Basically, obviously, he didn't change his tires to the end. Obviously, Max Verstappen did, but a lot of people would be like, yeah, but he should have just gone in the pits. The problem is, if he goes in the pits, you'd think Max Verstappen wouldn't go in the pits because he would be ahead then. So Hamilton would have been behind under the safety car and potentially a couple of lapped cars in between them, okay, like there was with Max behind Lewis. And if you go by the rule book, which I guess Mercedes were using to make their decisions to not pit Hamilton, after they let the lapped cars unlap themselves, the race shouldn't have started until another lap afterwards, and then that would have meant the race was over. So if they'd done it to the book and they had pitted Hamilton, then he would have been second because they pitted him. That's why they didn't pit him, and then they didn't do it to the book, so it was a bit of uproar. And the fact that they said originally they weren't going to let them unlap, and then they were, because I don't think Verstappen would have clawed the gap back in one lap if they didn't let them unlap. Essentially, the race director and F1, because it's been an exciting season, they ended the gone into the last race on the same points, which just doesn't happen. Like you were saying, it's quite boring. If it was one season to start watching F1 for it to not just be the car up front leading, it was this one. So you should go back and rewind and watch some of the other races. Maybe you change your opinion.
It's
But
just
anyway,
it's just the length of it I struggle with. It's just the length
yeah.
of some of the
Well,
races.
some of them have been exciting and they go a lot quicker.
Yeah, no, fair play. No, I will say I've never been a massive fan. I will watch any sport, but F1's one I've always struggled to get into. But that wasn't too bad on Sunday.
Yeah, well, he basically decided to turn it. He was like, "Oh, do you know what? We've got all these new people watching, like yourself, because there's a lot of people in your boat." And rather than do the rules, he was just like, "Let's just have a last lap shootout because that's exciting for the TV." But the problem was, as soon as that decision was made, he ultimately chose who was going to win because it was always going to be Verstappen on the new fresh tyres. Because the 40 lap old tyres, like he had no chance defending. But that's why it's a bit rough. But there we are.
Yeah, it's all happening this week as well.
It could be worse. The Champions League draw as
draw,
well.
yeah,
I don't know what's the bigger fix.
I'm sure, right? I know everyone says for years like the draws are fixed, but I don't know. You can almost call the draws sometimes. The FA Cup draws as well. I just think there's got to be
I didn't see the full thing. I don't really understand what's gone on to the fact that they've had to do the draw again. Like, what actually went wrong?
I think it was, someone might correct me on it, but I thought it was like there was one round where Man United should have been an option for someone.
Oh,
they weren't put into the pot.
It wrong.
Yeah, so I can't remember where it was, but somebody was drawn out, and then they should have had, I don't know, 4 or 5 options that they could have drawn, and Man United should have been one of them, but they didn't put Man United in the pot.
Oh. Well, so people have been saying for years that it's a bit dodgy, the draws, haven't they?
Which I was thinking, Man United got PSG. I was like, I wonder if they obviously wanted Man U PSG, Ronaldo versus Messi.
Yeah.
For the last time,
they probably
potentially.
They probably did. And now Real Madrid are kicking off, and because they say in their side of the draw was legit, and they shouldn't have been put back in the pot. And now they got.
The thing is, you can't do that because then you're like saying, "Oh, we shouldn't have PSG." You've already like lost your game, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's like as much as it's the fact they fucked it up in the first place. Sorry, excuse the language, but they did. No one's going to be happy now because if you had a better draw in the first time, then you're going to kick off.
Oh, well, only Chelsea because they got Lille twice, didn't they? That's mad. They're the same one twice.
Well, they're probably happy with that, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, if anyone, so before we move on, I would just recommend to you, especially in the next couple of months, maybe watch Drive to Survive, and then
Netflix.
You might see a bit more exciting action for F1, and maybe you'll decide to start watching some of it. But it's a good way to sort of dip your toe in, if you like. Anyway, let's actually get to what we're here for, and that's to talk about the Swans, which we didn't obviously do a video last week, just around my work schedule, and you were obviously revising for exams. We just decided to skip a week, but we're back. So before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date to all of our latest videos and content. Leave a like as well, because that helps more people find the channel, helps us grow. We're trying to hit 500, and when we do get there, we will be doing a giveaway, which is likely to be like a Swans kit. So, we'll release details of how you can win that as soon as we reach the milestone. And don't forget as well, you can also listen to us on Spotify and follow us on social media. We most use Twitter, but we've got Facebook and Instagram as well. So check us out on there. And TikTok, which we need to try and put more stuff on, to be fair. So we'll try and be better with that. Don't think I missed anything out there, but we'll move on. So 2 games to discuss. I don't think we're going to do a normal, like what we normally do is go through the game, look at the key incidents and talk about them individually. Because I think the Middlesbrough game was a little bit ago now, and obviously the Forest game. I didn't actually get to watch it all in person. I've watched some of it, and I've seen the highlights and recapped on what happened. Again, work just spoils everything. Now it's inaccessible to watch half the games because of the rules going back to normal, but try my best. So I think we'll take from what happened in the 2 games. We will discuss some of the stuff, but then there's some maybe bigger questions that we can get our teeth stuck into around what's going on at the moment and our form and stuff like that. So we lost away to Middlesbrough 1-0. However, maybe the performance was better than what the scoreline suggests. Going away from home and losing 1-0 is never awful. But what was a lot worse was losing at home to Nottingham Forest 4-1 under previous manager Steve Cooper, which I think a lot of people will be struggling to come to terms with, or at least were immediately after the game. And that puts us on a 3-match run of where we've not won a game, so on a 3-match losing streak. What's your immediate reaction then to both the games that happened in the last 2 weeks?
I think I've said to you a couple of times this season that about us defensively, and sometimes we're easy to play against. And I think that it's been found out a little bit in the sense that there's so many teams now that come down to the stadium and they just sit back. And we're getting caught in the break. And you've said it loads of times, like we're so bad in the transition when we lose the ball.
Yeah.
And it's just been highlighted massively in the last. I'd say I'd go back further and I'd say the Reading game, and the Blackpool game.
Well, the Reading game counts as the 3 in a row of the defeats. I've got them up here on the screen.
But I think the signs have been there for a long time. I think since, well, we lost against Bournemouth, didn't we? Just before the international break, we got hammered, and I think that was sort of the start of it, and it hasn't really been rectified in the last 4 or 5 games. But yeah, that's the initial reaction anyway. It's just we were worried about it before. I just think defensively we look poor. When teams come at us, we just look all over the shop. Bournemouth sort of run riot. How Reading scored 3 goals against us, I'll never know. Andy Carroll was running the show for some reason.
You can say that about Forest as well. I don't really understand how they scored 4, but
Forest
obviously they're clinical. They get the opportunities and they take them, and that's kind of what every team is doing. Setting up in the same way. They're sitting back, letting us have the ball. And we are making a lot more chances. I think it's important to point out than we were at the start of the season. Arguably, perhaps being a little bit less clinical, although saying that we still scored 5 goals in the last 4 games. So it's not awful. It could be better, of course. We made more chances that it should be a few more goals, I think. But the attack was an issue at the start of the season, is what I'm trying to say. I think that is better, but it's kind of like as a result of us getting more confident up the top end of the pitch, kind of leaving the door open a little bit more at the back end of the pitch. I mentioned the transition. I think I've been mentioning that since the start of the season. And it just hasn't really been fixed or dealt with, I don't think. And the different... You can't keep the same 3 back players, the 3 at the back. You can't keep the same 3 there all the time. Completely understand that. You need to rotate. But at the same time, the other part of me is like, we're definitely more comfortable with a certain 3 than when we do make changes. And there's definitely a problem there. But obviously you can't play every game with the same 3. And that's going to cause issues with tiredness. And I think we've seen that as well. I've mentioned when we've had 3 game weeks, the third's always an issue in regards to sloppy mistakes. So, it's a difficult one at the moment. Anything from maybe the Middlesbrough game first then that you would like to point out or talk about? Let's have a look at the details here.
The Borough game, the one thing that I can remember now, which is quite a tough bit of time ago. I don't think the Patterson penalty was a penalty. I still don't think it. I know some people
the keeper bringing him down?
Yeah, I don't think it's a pen. Not for me.
I mean, it's hard to see how much contact there was. I feel like he might have.
We have had some awful decisions this year. No doubt about it. We should have had a few penalties, but that one, he's kind of going away from the keeper, and he puts his foot back into the keeper to make the contact.
Yeah,
that's what I think. But I would have taken.
The keeper's hands are there though. Like the keeper's hands
are there. But I think if he just carries on running, because he's obviously taken an awful touch, hasn't he? So I think to rectify it, he's sort of just put his foot back in to get the penalty.
Yeah. I just get frustrated that
I shouldn't be complaining of that because we should be getting them with the luck that we've had this season.
Yeah, we can't even get one pen. Doesn't matter what happens. Can't even get a dodgy pen. That's questionable. We can't get.
We did.
Even I don't know what to say.
We did have one, didn't we? And we had a training game against Brentford, didn't we? Seconds.
That's the one we're having.
That's the one penalty we've had this season. That was a bit.
Did they score it?
Yeah, they scored it. I think Walsh took it. Walsh took it? Yeah, I think it was.
Walsh, who's Walsh? Sorry.
But no, apart from that, I'm seeing just more of the same there in the Middlesbrough game, like the Reading game, just us having all the ball and getting caught out on the transition again. And I think, the standout from the goal the Middlesbrough scored was, Reece Williams' pace to get back in that hole. I think we've talked about the gap between the fullback and the wide centre backs. On the other side, you've got Laird and Bennett in that gap where Bennett hasn't got the pace, and then on this occasion it was the other side where Manning had gone forward and Reece Williams got caught out in the gap there with his pace. And it's just something that keeps happening.
I think it's a problem.
It is a problem.
I believe it happened to Cabango in the Forest game once or twice. It's happened to Ryan Bennett a couple of times this season. There was a Twitter comment, I can't remember who it was by, I think it might be an Amy involved in the thread, and they were talking about the defence and what's wrong with it and how to improve it. And someone was saying that we can't improve it unless we chuck a load of money at it. We haven't got a load of money to chuck at it, so we're going to have to change the way we play, which I don't necessarily buy. I think we do need a different type of defender in there, though. I think we need kind of like a modern centre-back.
Yeah.
Kind of like Geehee, but like more than just one, where they can play with the ball, they can run out with the ball, and they got a bit of pace. That's literally what we need all across the back three. It's
a shame because if you look at defenders that we have had, like Guehi and Rodon, I think would have been the perfect two there. They both got a bit of pace and they both like to play with the ball at their feet. So I think those two in those wide positions would have been perfect. On the other hand, I think Cabango, Reece Williams, and Bennett are the complete opposite of who should be playing there, which is a shame, which is why we're having problems.
And I just want to point out, it doesn't mean they're bad players either.
No,
they are good defenders. And the good defenders for us, they've been good defenders for Swansea, but it doesn't necessarily suit their strengths to leave them so exposed so often. And if this is the way Russell Martin wants to play, and he's not, it seems pretty much he's no compromise in the way he wants his game plan to work. He's going to make everyone there fit the system. He's not going to make a system necessarily to fit the players. I think that's quite obvious. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong. But yeah, these guys don't necessarily fit in the best. And that's, I think, a big part of the problem.
It's good that you brought that up now with the heat maps. I was thinking, what you've essentially, I said it on one of the other podcasts, I can't remember when it was, that because the fullbacks play so high up, and I mean literally probably the same height up the pitch as, look at that on Laird, as Perrault. So they're probably, they're basically up there. So what you're asking is...
I'll have a man in as well. Yeah.
So what you're asking is essentially that your two centre-backs, whether it's Cabango and Reece Williams or Bennett, are sort of playing like right-backs and left-backs. So you can see there, that's where they're sort of predominantly based. And
this Cabango heat map is crazy.
Yeah, look, he's essentially playing right-back there, and Reece Williams is essentially playing left-back.
We're saying one of the midfielders is dropping in, potentially. Not so much as a centre back, you'd imagine. And then when you look at Kylenorton's heat map, he's kind of everywhere.
Yeah,
it's quite. The system is designed to be fluid, isn't it? It's designed to be very fluid, very. You don't want the opposition to know what's going on. I guess a little bit. They're always there's a lot of movement. You're always looking where you're marking. Everyone can kind of go wherever they need to go and cover wherever they need to cover. But when the guys don't necessarily have the quickest pace, Cabango, when he's up the halfway line, or Reece Williams when he's a bit further over, one ball over the top or in behind, that's all you need sometimes. If you just look at
the
Reece Williams here in a dark red zone, you're saying about Andy Carroll again in behind against Reading.
Yeah.
Even from that position, if he's got to turn and run back to track back, is quite far away from the goal. Maybe not Andy Carroll, but someone else is a bit quick. Imagine a Dan James getting in behind there. He's having a field day. And actually, I think, which goal? It might be one of the Forest goals, or maybe it was the Middlesbrough goal, where the players running in from the right and just has a free shot.
It was Forest. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, both the same. To be honest, the Middlesbrough goal and the some of the Forest ones, they're just getting in behind. It's just so like, but I think the signs have been there for a while. Like the Bournemouth game, for example, where we go away to teams that are a bit better than us, and we don't have all the ball, where we're having constant pressure. We just seem to crumble. I just think defensively we're a bit all over the place at the moment.
Yeah. I will say about this game against Middlesbrough before maybe we touch more on Sheffield. Not Sheffield. What am I on about? Forest. Joe Perrault missed a sitter. He missed basically an open goal.
Yeah.
Which I let him off because he had a good season.
Yeah.
But he's just hit it too hard on his left foot, and I think there's a ball that comes over, and the defender tries to get his head on it, but actually plays the best through ball to Joe Perrault with his head. And the keeper's already come out to receive the ball, sort of thing, but then he's obviously backtracking. But Perrault's running to the left of the goal, and he tries to finesse it in, and he hits it over. It was literally an empty net, so that's a bit of a shame. Bit of a shame on that one. And obviously the Patterson chance that you've mentioned, if he takes a better first touch, he's 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. We're creating the chances. It's just that we're not being very clinical at the moment, and then the defence is not there to save us.
Yeah. And there was this game, Latabodia came on in the second half for the Forest game, and he missed a sitter as well, but I can't remember which one that was in. Just watched both the highlights to recap, and it's slipped my mind. But he finds the ball basically in a box, and he doesn't score. But I think he should, personally. But there we are, looking at the stats from the Middlesbrough game. So, up with what the theme of the season is really, 68% of the possession. And this is what I mean when I'm saying our attack isn't necessarily an issue like it was at the start of the season, even though we didn't score. 15 shots with 5 on target away from home. And they only had 5 with 2 on target, and they've had a 1-0 win. 1-0 win. It's worth saying as well that Chris Wilder actually said in his press conference that the better team lost. Maybe not in those words, but he basically said that. Which, but this is... take from it what you will, but...
No, I know, but these are the stats that we're going to see similar in most games, because we will have most of the ball. You're talking nearly 70% possession there. So you'd expect us to have more shots on target. But the only concerning thing, like I said, is we're becoming so easy to play against, where you can just sit in and let us have the ball and let us, have 15 shots. And then we just seem to get caught out. You just got to say sit in, and we will leak a chance at some point, which we are doing. So I think,
and I think that's highlighted you exactly what you're saying, because they're just sitting in and waiting for that one opportunity. So we had 15 shots and had 2 big chances, which we missed both of, and they've sat back, basically waited, and they bide in their time, and they get 3 big chances. They missed 2 of them, but one of them went in, and that's the one that mattered. So
yeah.
Well, there's the Middlesbrough game. Let's touch on Nottingham Forest then. Obviously, this is the big one because Steve Cooper coming back to the Liberty or the Swansea.com stadium for the first time since he's left. And, well, he's going away happy. and it asks the age-old question, which you tweeted out something about this, didn't you? Whether, what people would think of Cooper coming back, like what reception would he have? And it just got into a big debate about, some people were like, he did a good job. Some people were like, nah, he's not getting a good reception. I hate him, basically, is what they were saying. What was the reception like? I have to ask.
I think it wasn't anything really. It wasn't anything to write home about. There wasn't really a reception at all, which was probably the right way to go. But no, look, I mean, I never dwell on it. Like, I know, like, a lot of the comments that we had were, we shouldn't even be thinking about previous managers. We should be back in the current coaching staff, whatever, which I do agree with. But as a football fan, Gerrard going back to Liverpool as Villa manager, how can you not talk about that? Cooper was here for 2 years, 2 playoffs, comes back for his first game in the stadium. How can you not talk about it and what went on? Maybe by the second game, it'll be forgotten, and next season it'll be done. But it's something that you do talk about as football fans. when it's an occasion like this, where it's his first game back. I only got annoyed because I just thought he had a bit of a rough ride with our fans when he was here. We said it last season. I felt like we were sort of backing him up a little bit, trying to defend him when people, I've heard terrorist ball and, is the worst football they've ever had to watch ever. And I just thought it was a bit over the top. So in a way, I was just thinking the amount of times that people said last season, even when Cooper was in charge, was, I'd sacrifice this rubbish football and watching these games and not have the playoffs and not have the good results just to see us play football. Well, now that we've got that, which is exactly what happened on Saturday, was we had the possession football, but we got hammered on the scoreboard. So you've got what you wanted, but now people are still saying, I've seen Martin hasn't got a clue. I've seen players need to go and all this. So it's changed the narrative again now. So I just think it just looks a bit petty at the moment, isn't it? It's just everybody's changing their mind week in, week out. But we're going to have results like this all year as Martin tries to change the way that Cooper was playing last year. So I just think it's time for a bit of patience. So I just wanted to get that out there because that was really frustrating.
Yeah, we called for patience at the start and we had a bit of a good run. Everyone got a bit excited and we were quite, I think, we did obviously mention how close we were to the playoffs a couple of times because it's hard not to, but I think we also were quite vocal on saying, it's still early days. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. And Russell Martin's also been saying the same sort of things. He was talking after this game saying, you asked me when we were getting close to the playoffs about that. And I was saying, look, there's a long way to go. I was fully expecting there to be results like this, where you have a phase where it, goes like a little bit bad again. Although he was saying he's quite happy with the performance. It's just not happy with the results. But yeah.
I want to say as well, like I wouldn't have Cooper back over Russell Martin either. I'd much prefer what Martin is trying to do. But it's just going to take time. It's going to take ages, especially, you said, with the players that he's got, the type versus the type of players that he wants, especially in the back three that we've touched on. It's just going to take ages. We've had some brilliant results. That time after the international break, we beat Cardiff, we beat West Brom, and we had a few good results after that as well. We beat Coventry away, and those sort of results. It's just been, that was brilliant. And then I just think, like, obviously people can see then what he's trying to do, and they sort of change the way that they play, and he's got to adapt again. So I just think it's just going to be like this whole season. We'll have a run of 3 good results, and we'll have a run of 4 bad results, and then it's just going to be like that all season. So I think people just need to strap in.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. And it was always going to happen. I think it was written on paper. Everyone's moaning about Cooper's style of play. I think he does deserve credit for what he did here. It doesn't matter if you enjoyed or not. He still was successful. That's the bottom line.
I think he made a point in his...
I think people are going to argue like, oh, he's not successful because he failed at the playoffs twice. It's like, yeah, but should we have got there? I mean, arguably no, especially the first time. And then the second time, it was another step. It was semi-final and then the final. Okay, that one-off football match, we lost it. And maybe it wasn't the best performance, but we all know we didn't have a striker all season, and we had managed to improve on the season before. So we knew there was issues that needed to be resolved. So, I think his time was successful based on what he had to work with.
He made a comment in his interview as well, and he said something. He was like, we sold £50 million worth of players that I had to work with, or something. He said along those lines. And I think if there was ever a team with the stuff that we've been mentioning, when you say teams have got to sit in and take their chances, that was basically us last year, wasn't it?
You literally sit
in and take your chances when they come, and that was literally what we did last year.
You running up the pitch and scoring on the
that was literally
counter,
so there was a team,
a scruffy goal because one was from a set piece.
There was ever a team to play against us, it was a Cooper team.
Yeah, they did exactly what we would do last season, where our fans would be like, oh, well, we only had 25% of the ball, but we managed to get a win, scrappy win away from home or whatever, although I wouldn't say necessarily this was scrappy. I think we controlled the first half and then just fell apart, if you like.
And I guess as well, like, I understand people's frustrations. They were saying, he was looking to move on, and apparently he had interviews with Palace and all this sort of thing, but you're naive to think if that doesn't happen to every club anyway. Yeah. Like when Russell Martin was playing brilliant football and we were getting brilliant results, he was linked with every club under the sun. You can't tell me his agent wasn't talking to people.
Yeah, and we poached Russell Martin like a couple of days before the season kicked off. So imagine what MK Dons fans were feeling.
Yeah, so I just think, it's the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the game, and he's looking to go elsewhere in these bigger jobs because he's done a good job, and he was unhappy, I think, with the board. So like, we all know why he was unhappy with the board, because of the striker situation, because I don't think he necessarily had a good relationship with Julian Winter that he had with Trevor Birch. And
Yeah.
to be fair, the way that he ended up leaving, it was a bit weird that he was here after he'd already agreed to go, but I don't think that's his fault necessarily. That's the club. It's not like it was quite mutual, obviously, I think. He didn't get sacked, and he said it's time for me to move on, and the club were like, yes, time for us to move on. And in the end, they done what the fans wanted and got someone in that's going to play football.
Yeah.
But you can't take away from what happened the last 2 years as well, because if he had been successful in that playoff final, I'm sure everyone would have been happy then.
Yeah, look, we'll just round this off and don't spend too much time on Cooper because it's been undone. But I think it was definitely time for him to go.
Yeah.
We needed something different. It was a mutual thing. He wanted to go. Everyone wanted him gone. So how can everybody complain that he did go? So I think, we did the right thing
now because he's come back to haunt them.
Yeah, we did the right thing. And again, I'd much rather have Russell Martin in charge at the moment. It was time for us to move on, and I'm happy that we did. But we'll probably move on to us now instead.
Yeah, I just
draw a line under that.
I want to pick up perhaps first of all on Ben Hamer standing out there as a 5.0 in his score. And there's a reason for that. Obviously, he made a bit of a howler for, I think it was the third goal. So, third goal they scored. So, we'd obviously just scored to get back into the game. And I think, again, we looked like we were knocking on the door perhaps to get, try and get a draw perhaps or push on. But this kind of knocked any chance of that. Quite a tame shot, I think, actually. That was straight at him. Someone cutting in from the left flank. It was kind of like an in-between cross shot.
Yeah.
Sort of ball. And he just spilled it out of his arms. He was on the floor as well. So he just spilled it out of his arms, and the Forest players first to react. Brennan Johnson. Just tap in at that point.
Yeah. No excuse really. It's a bad mistake, isn't it? It is a bad mistake. But I don't understand though, because a few weeks ago everybody was saying that Hamer coming in had changed the the defense and the way that we played, given the defense confidence to play out. And I saw some people saying he was a contender for, player of the season because what he'd done. And he's had a couple of bad games, and now we need a new goalkeeper, apparently. I didn't think that was necessarily a big issue, to be honest, but he's had, a couple of poor games, as has most of the team, to be honest.
When was the last time that the fans didn't want a new goalkeeper?
Yeah, Fabianski. Yeah, Fabianski was probably the last one.
I don't know how much to read into anything they say when they criticise him one mistake.
No, I think he's accountable because that error was terrible.
Yeah, definitely. But don't tell me Fabianski never made an error.
No, and then he a couple of I don't really know, a couple of soft goals maybe here and there in the last couple of weeks, but that's just followed on from the team not playing well for the last couple of weeks.
If the defence is struggling, the goalkeeper has more shot, harder stuff to deal with. Perhaps it just goes hand in hand.
I just think hold on that for a minute. If he does it for another 5 games in a row, then there's a question to be had. But I think based off the last couple of games, and he's made a howler in that game. Let's not sack him just yet.
Okay, so we've discussed the defence quite a few times. I didn't actually realise that first, because like I said, when the team news and that came out, I was in work. But Flynn Down's playing centre back.
Yeah, when I saw the team, I genuinely thought that he'd mixed it up and he'd gone for a back 4. I thought, that's interesting. Because maybe with the way the Cooper plays, we thought he'd mix it up, and I generally thought he'd gone for a back 4, and I thought, here we go, he's done something here and he's changed something. But just that Downs had slotted into that Kylenorton role. I don't know if Kylenorton must have been injured because he wasn't even on the bench. I thought Downs was good though. I think he's good in that role. I thought he's great on the ball. His
heat map is all over the place there. So he kind of did play centre mid as well. But then the problem is if he's pushing up that high quite often, you're leaving the back 2, because obviously I just looked Manning's heat map, shows the control we had of the game. Manning basically didn't defend.
Yeah.
I think that
And
says it all
how
about
many
where
of
we've
the
got
goals
caught
went?
out.
How many of those goals went down that side? If you watch the highlights, they're all down that right-hand side. Most of them, or they
Well,
start there anyway.
Manning and Cabango. I mean, like
Uh,
Cabango's been on the other side when he's played a lot of the season. Well, he's been everywhere actually, isn't he? He's kind of filled in whatever gap. Maybe he's not always the other side. Yeah, it's difficult because him and Bennett again, they haven't got the pace to turn. That is one of the goals. I think it's the last one actually. Lyle Taylor just basically walks past him, and
that what
that was shocking.
I'm not even sure what to say about that one because he just sort of seems to just stop.
Yeah,
He's sort of
and then
chasing him. And he just stops.
You see him try to like get up to speed again to catch back up, and you're just thinking like, yeah, you've got no chance, mate. You may as well not even bother.
Not really sure what happened there, to be honest.
Well, that's interesting. Looking at Corey Smith's heat map, seems like he spent more time further back than down. So, yeah, not really sure what's going on there. I mean, perhaps when Downs is pushing up, he's covering and he's just sitting to cover. But this is where I get confused at a little bit with Russell Martin sometimes and how he's using Corey Smith, because obviously in Champ started his games, we played in the forward role. But then when Corey Smith is in the sit-in midfield role, he looks like he's sitting back a lot more. So how can he be the one that plays in the attacking role when Cham's not playing? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. I think just the makeup of the defence as well. So obviously you've got two out-and-out centre-backs there, like we said, playing wide. And then you've got a central midfielder playing in the middle of the back three. And it's the same when, Norton plays as well. Norton's a right back by trade, and I can understand why he puts him in there, and it does work. But then when you're being asked questions defensively, I'm just not sure we're set up to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is not against Norton, but going back to like when we played Fulham away, you just couldn't handle Mitrovic. Not many defenders can handle Mitrovic, but I mean, you're asking your right back to sort of do that job in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, maybe we need. I get that he's got his system that he wants to play. He wants to play the back three with a ball player in the middle and his fullbacks to go high up. But
Yeah.
maybe when he gets the right players, it'll work. But at the moment, I don't think it does work.
Well, I think another question down the starting centre back. What does that mean for Brandon Cooper, for Joel Latibodia, who did actually come on as a sub for Led at right back? So obviously, that's answered pretty much. Martin sees him as a right back, and that's where he's going to use him. Reece Williams was on the bench. Maybe he's not been impressed with his performances, or maybe he was worried about. He doesn't trust Cabango, Bennett, or Reece Williams in that central role because he wants someone that's going to run the ball out and play the ball out. So he just couldn't put them in there.
I think you're spot on there. I think you just which two of the three do you pick to play? Because like Bennett, in all fairness, has been pretty solid for a while, but sometimes he does get caught out. But then I think like Cabango and Reece Williams constantly get caught out in that position. So I think probably he's happier playing Bennett and then just one of the other two. But I don't understand why he's sort of, because when Manning was playing in there, that made sense. Because like I said, the wide centre backs go into like a right back and a left back position essentially, and then Downs or Smith drop in with Kylenorton, so you kind of got a back four when the full backs are forward. But last, can you say, 4 games maybe that he hasn't played Manning and Bidwell together?
I think Bidwell's recently had a baby, hasn't he?
Oh, has he? Oh,
I believe he's recently has had a new baby, so
maybe that's got something to do with it.
It might be linked to that, yeah. In
but I
terms of
think you
maybe
see a
if he's
massive
not sleeping loads and not as fit as or match fit as he needs to be, and it's a good, you're going to give time off as well to spend with the family. So I think that's part of the reason there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I can't argue with that. But I think that coincides with our bad run of form.
Yeah, adjusting. That's what I said. Adjusting the back three of Manning, Norton, and Bennett, which it was. So Cabango stepping in for Bennett. As soon as that got disrupted, it seems like it's an issue. But that's when I made the point of saying you can't play the same back three all year. You're going to have to rotate at points, and we need to sort that out because.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to look at when the last time Manning and Bidwell played together, so they didn't on Saturday. They didn't against Middlesbrough. Who was before that? It was Reading, wasn't it?
I don't think they did there, did they?
Reading was. Let's have a look. No, was Manning and Reece Williams.
Yeah, and I don't think they did against Blackpool either, but I could be wrong.
I know we had Barnsley away. Before that, we won 2-0, didn't we? And that was. Just check 2-0, and it was. I think he might not have played it. Yeah, it was Cabango and Bidwell in that one. Manning didn't play, but we won there.
Yeah.
But I think Barnsley were pretty poor in that game, in all fairness. And then the Blackpool game, I think he might be right that he didn't play in that one either.
Been a while, that's all I know.
Yeah, I could have looked. Oh, there we are, Manning and Bidwell. So the Blackpool game was the last time they played together.
Oh, they did in that one, okay. Looking
And
at
that's
the stats,
kind of like the way it's gone, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we should have won that game, so I think the form after that. Yeah, definitely shows. Looking at the stats then, 75% again at home. Possession, again, not shocked anymore at stuff like that. We had more shots, 12 against 9. One less on target though with 4. So again, like we are having opportunities, whereas earlier in the season we weren't. So that is, I guess, a positive still, even if we do need to perhaps be more clinical sometimes. There was a couple of chances here that we should have taken. There was 2 in the first half, I think.
First half, 2 massive ones.
That we should have definitely taken. Perrault could have had a hat-trick in this game, actually.
Yeah, and the one in the first half, he rounds the keeper and he goes high. That was a massive
saved
chance.
off the line. No, he saved off the line, wasn't it, that one?
No, he hit it over, didn't he, in the first half? He goes round the keeper and he hits it over.
I think you're mixing that up with the Middlesbrough one, where that was where.
No, I think the Middlesbrough one got cleared off the line. I'm sure in Forest.
No, it's the other.
Yeah, no, he does. I'm sure it is. I'm sure he goes round the keeper. He's going that way.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm getting him the wrong way around. Either way, those two things happened.
He rounded the keeper in both games. Yeah. And then Cham's one as well from the free kick. Probably should have done better with that. He's like free in the box, isn't he?
Oh yeah, it was good delivery from Grimes, who often gets criticism for his set piece delivery. But I think that one was on a plate for Cham. Maybe a bit difficult to deal with because it literally bounced at his feet, didn't it? But could he have done a diving header or something? I don't know. Could have. I think Trundle would have finished it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, but I mean, look, there we are. 4 big chances missed. So to create 4 big chances in a game, that's good. Like, we wouldn't do anything like that at the start of the season. 4 big chances is, I don't know the exact way this website SofaScore labels a big chance, but I think it's the way you kind of should score the goal, really. Forest had 3 big chances where they've only missed 1 of them. And they scored 4 goals, but they only scored 2 of their 3 big chances. So, yeah, says it all.
But this is the problem. That's frustrating, isn't it? We just leak goals. Like we conceded 4 in a half at home. It's awful.
Yeah.
That was bad. The way the defense fell apart there in that game. There's no excuses for it.
Yeah.
Whoever we were playing, it was just to concede 4 goals in a half, in the manner that they did as well is pretty poor.
Yeah, and let's just give Joel Perrault a little bit of praise. I can't remember the reason why he didn't get a hat trick. What the third opportunity was that he should have scored. But his goal was a good goal. As much as it was a deflection, again, outside the box, but he's hit it and it pinged off the guy's head or something and literally went into the top left corner like a rocket.
Yeah, great connection in all fairness as well.
Yeah, and it did inspire a bit of hope other than Ben Haber quickly ruining that we could have maybe got back into the game. But, I think the effort is there. They're giving it a good go still. I think the camp is still positive. The way Martin's speaking is all good as well. And the players in their interviews, you do feel like they're still all on board. There's not really much concern. It's just a bit of a blip in a period where they're still learning a new way of playing. And they're going to have ups and downs. And we said at the start of the season, it's going to be like a roller coaster where we predicted a mid-table finish. We're right there at the moment. And when it looked like it was going to be like, oh, maybe we'll go higher, it's come back down. So,
yeah.
Looking at the table then, so we are now back down to 16th. We were comparing a couple of weeks ago being like 3 points off the playoffs. we're now down to being 8 points off the playoffs, so fallen off a little bit. Forest under Cooper, though, are progressing well. As you can see there, they've got up to 8th place, 4 points off for them. And they've had a couple of years being down the bottom end, and he's gone in there straight away and turned that around. So results are pretty football, I guess, goes back to that question. But we already discussed that. We're looking all right from the other end. I think Peterborough there on 19, they're 8 points off us as well. But
I think the 3 in there will go down, won't they?
The 3 Peterborough have a chance of staying up. I mean, I know Reading has a bit of a deduction, didn't they? Cardiff are only like 1 win clear as well. Their new manager bounce, obviously they've got a couple of wins, but they're still in a bit of danger, so dangerous area. Hull, again, I wouldn't say they are clear, but they've put a good run together so far and managed to clear themselves for now. But I think maybe they could still be in trouble by the end unless they keep it up. I think they're in the picture at least.
Yeah. They're in the battle, but yeah.
Do you remember who we put there? Who did we say?
We definitely said Derby, but I think we had Huddersfield and Peterborough, I think.
I think we got Huddersfield a bit wrong, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. They're doing all right, aren't they? Sort of mid-table there. We'd have to have a look maybe halfway. Well, we're halfway after the next game, aren't we?
Yeah. Quite interested here in Blackburn's form. They've
Blackburn has been flying.
They're flying,
and they beat Bournemouth on the weekend as well.
Yeah, well, Bournemouth, since they beat us, have been awful.
Yeah, no, look at their form and Fulham, like 4 draws in a row. They kind of, those 2 at the top were running away with it, and now they've sort of...
They've let West Brom and Blackburn have a look now.
Yeah.
I thought they were gone.
I
thought they were gone.
Yeah, it's a long old season though. With the amount of games you play in the Championship, it's just a long season. Yeah. So I think they have opened the door there for Blackburn. I didn't expect them to, be shooting in there, but they've been class lately. And to go away to Bournemouth, I think they were away to...
I nearly put them in mine. I know we discussed and put them a lot lower in the end, but I nearly put them quite high at mine.
Yeah.
So I'm not awfully surprised. I know I had QPR in there, definitely. And I know we had Stoke pretty high as well. Coventry are falling away from their early season.
Yeah.
Good form. But,
as expected, I think.
They're still higher than I think they thought they would be, so it's probably still a decent season for them so far.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think that's enough about the league table. I got some bits of news to discuss, unless you've got anything else you want to say before we move on.
No, the only one thing I want to say is just like, when I keep saying we're easy to play against, I love the style of football he's trying to play, and I love that he's trying to implement it. But they move the ball so slow in some games. Like, it's all right having 80% possession and 9 million passes, but the build-up is so slow sometimes when teams sit in against us. I know you say about like Man City, I know it's a different kettle of fish, but if you watch them, they're always moving, constantly moving. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think that we are fluid. I think everybody's in their positions and they just move the ball around in between the positions. Nobody actually makes that sort of fluid movement. And I think sometimes that's really easy to defend against.
Yeah, I think that's like the next level of when we get it right to be pushing on.
Yeah, I know. Look, I know.
And maybe
still a long way to go.
Looking to improve on that area, but I think now it's very apparent there's one priority, and that's sorting out the defence right now.
Yeah,
I'm quite happy with the chances we're making and the amount of them that we are making. That if we sort the defence out, then we can look at the things you've just mentioned, and it would be a good.
This is long. Forward. This is long term. I mean, I think it's going to be next season when we start seeing major improvements. But this is sort of a long term thing.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at the news, then word of Wine Street. There's a couple of things down on the ticker at the bottom about what we're going to discuss. A couple of things from Steve Cooper actually. So afterwards, you said earlier he was being quite punchy in the pressers about his time at Swansea. And he came out afterwards, and it's easy to say it after you get a win, I guess. But he's come out afterwards and said, like, we expected to win the game. Which I don't ever recall him going away from home that much off and saying that sort of thing about the opposition afterwards with us. I mean, I think he was always saying we always expect not to lose and we set up to not lose or whatever, but quite punchy against your former club to say something like that. But, I mean, I think he wanted to get one over on us and he's done the job, so he's going to go and live it up. Just he was talking about how tactically they were perfect and so on. The other thing
I agree. We said if there's ever a team to play against us at the moment, it was a Cooper team, wasn't it? Sit in and take your chance.
Yeah. He was also asked about the interest in Jay Felton.
Was he? I didn't see that.
He basically didn't say anything.
Okay.
He said he was happy with the midfield. He's got a few midfielders at his club currently, and he's quite fond of all of them. And he didn't want to discuss anything about the lack of playing time Felton has had at Swansea. But Felton didn't feature in that friendly the other day.
No, I didn't.
Out of all the players that Jan Danda was in there, I think Liam Walsh, who haven't been playing, Obafemi. There's loads of players in there that, the people in the first team that haven't been playing, all of them, except Jay Felton.
He's gone. He's out, isn't he? Not really sure what's happened there, but he's gone, isn't he?
I think that speaks volumes, and that makes me think: is the deal already done? And they obviously don't want to risk an injury.
He's gone in January anyway, but he's got to go to Forest. Surely, you'd think that, because I think Cooper had him quite high, didn't he? I think he rated him, so I think he's definitely going. And another one for you, is a shout. If Connor Roberts is up for loan, I can see him going to Forest as well.
And Rodon?
Well, maybe not. Maybe not so much Rodon, but if Connor Roberts is up for loan because he's not getting game time at Burnley, don't be surprised if we see Fulton and Connor Roberts at Forest next year, as in after January.
Yeah. Speaking of Fulton, before we move on from there, I'm actually surprised because Martin was talking in the press conference about the fact that we don't have the squad depth that we necessarily need. Why are you not using, if you're going to openly say, you put Flynn Downs in centre-back, why couldn't you have converted Felton into that? I think he would have done a good job there.
Yeah.
You could have played in that centre of the back three, perhaps.
Yeah.
But there we go. I'm a bit I do agree in extent in some positions we perhaps don't have the depth, but in others maybe we have and it's not being used for whatever reason. Unless Felton wants to go and he doesn't like the situation, but whatever. Maybe we'll never know. And you just mentioned Connor Roberts as well. I just wanted to talk about him. He's apparently been very unwell in hospital. I think I saw maybe pneumonia or serious virus.
He's out of hospital now, isn't he? I think Sean Dyche said he was out of hospital, so that's good news.
Yeah. So get well soon, Connor Roberts. Maybe we will see him in loan back in the Championship before we know it. We could do with a right back.
Yeah.
To be fair. Going forward, then, obviously, the reason Flynn Downs played centre-back was because Kylenorton he pulled out quite late, actually, before the game. I think there was a precautionary withdrawal more than an actual proper injury. And Ethan Laird got injured during the end of the first half or in stoppage time. So both are expected to be fit for the QPR game this weekend. So that's good news going into that one. Some bad news, though, going into January potentially, is that Joel Perrault has been scouted 4 times by Leicester City, who are apparently lining up a 10 million bid for the forward.
Already?
I mean, it could be speculation, but I'm just reading the headline. Just thought put it out there.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, that's not surprising, to be honest. I mean, the amount of goals he's been scoring, in all fairness, already off the bat. So, it's not surprising that we're going to see this.
Yeah,
but we can't afford to lose in this season.
No, we can't. And it took us so long to replace not having a striker. That if we sell the only one that's doing anything and playing, because Obafemi is not in the good books, and
what the hell? Yeah, what is going on there? He came on, didn't he, on Saturday? Obafemi did, but
Joel Perrault is on course to be the most prolific, if I said that right, prolific. Sorry, a Swansea striker since Wilfred Boney in 2013-14, with 12 goals in 22 games.
Well,
I don't know if even that includes the one on the weekend. It might do.
He's masking a lot of things, isn't he? Because he buries a lot of chances. He does miss some as well. We talked about. I think his strike rate is unbelievable.
Yeah.
For this division, I think it's going quite underrated as well. I know, a lot of people are sort of talking about it, but I just think it's so underrated at the moment. It's almost like we're just expecting him to score every game, and how difficult that is at this level in the Championship with the amount of games. The fact that he almost does score every game.
Unless you're Mitrovic, it's quite easy then.
Yes, yeah, it's ridiculous. But can he do it in the Premier League? No. Perrault maybe.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully that one doesn't come to anything, at least in January. That would be quite a disaster, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of outgoings, I know we've mentioned this one before, but it's been confirmed now by director Mark Allen that there will be talks with Liverpool about Rhys Williams and his tough loan spell so far.
Yeah, I think it's a bit. I don't want to be too harsh, but I just think it's just, it's not what we need. We've already got defenders like him that can't do what Russell Martin wants to do. So why have him?
Yeah,
and I'm not doubt he'll be a good player, maybe in a different setup, but it's just not what we need.
Yeah. Another bit of good news from the club. If you're not living in the UK, says it all about how you can watch the football in this country. But that's a bigger debate again, which I'm sure one day we'll discuss at detail. But half-season passes are available for Swans TV Live if you're an international fan and you get access to it. I think they are £85 for the remaining fixtures of the season, which saves you about £25 if you purchase them all separately.
You know my thoughts on the TV deals. It does my head in. It really does my head in.
No, I know. It's just funny, isn't it? That, like, I'll go lead that. Like, if you want to watch the Swans games, as long as you don't live in the UK, you can watch them all.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. But I don't know if we're going to come on to this. The season ticket renewal prices come out and they were good again.
No, you can tell us that one. I did try and find it. Couldn't find it in time.
Yeah, I think they were like just over 300 quid again, I think, for renewal.
Have they gone up or they stayed the same? Or?
They've gone up a little bit from last year because I think they were about the 300 quid mark. I think that's what I paid for mine last year after COVID, which was pretty good.
Competitive compared to other teams.
Yeah, to be fair, I will say before COVID and all that, I think our season tickets were quite high. They were sort of touching on the £400 mark every season. But now they sort of leveled out, I think, to sort of a championship average, I think. We're sort of just over 300, 320, 340, which I think is about right.
Yeah. Okay. The last bit of news kind of ties into the build-up to the last part of the podcast and the build-up, the match against QPR, which is coming up this weekend. We're going away to London to play QPR, or are we? There is talk about the match being cancelled or called off because QPR have had a bit of a COVID outbreak.
It'll have to be called off, surely, because they were supposed to play Monday night, weren't they? And if that got called off, you're talking, 5 days later.
Yeah, so there's obviously no official news on that one, but
I don't expect that to go ahead on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a bit annoying because I like the pre-Christmas games. This is quite a good build up to Christmas. Having that Saturday before Christmas is usually a good week for football. But I think we're going to have a lot of games called off. Like United against Brentford tonight is called off.
So I'm just going to say then, if the QPR game does not go ahead, which is what we're expecting, this will probably be the last video, I think, before Christmas, because next week's going to be quite busy, I'd imagine. Maybe we'll squeeze one in if we've got something to talk about. But
maybe we can do a Christmas special.
Maybe we can do, maybe. Or maybe we can do like although this week after to do that. Although if we've got no games to talk about, it might be a good opportunity for us to do like a pre-transfer window.
We can have a bit of a half report.
Highlights of 2021 for Swans.
Yeah, could do that. Bit of a half-term report.
And then review the season so far and how our table predictions of.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. Maybe more of a normal podcast rather than a weekly. Next week then, if this game is called off. Obviously, we've got Millwall afterwards, which will be Boxing Day. And then Luton, I think it is. I'm going to the Luton game.
Is it
Thanks to Fan Hub.
Yeah, true.
My tickets from Fan Hub are finally being used there.
Yeah. Is it me or I always thought that you're like home. I think I could be wrong, but because we're away now for ages. Like after the Forest game, it's like, oh, our next home game is after Christmas. But I thought you usually have like a home game the week before Christmas and then away Boxing Day, or
Yeah, but
vice
everyone
versa.
can't be away Boxing Day.
No, I mean, or vice versa. You know, you have a home game just before Christmas and away game at Boxing Day, or the other way round. But it's usually the Boxing Day, and then the game in between Christmas and New Year is the same. So you're usually home on like Boxing Day and the 29th, and then you have New Year game the other way round. Because it's a
Well,
bit
we've
frustrating
got
now that our
2
next game
away.
is because we're away, supposed to be away against QPR and away Boxing Day, and our next home game is the 29th.
Yeah, but they got 2. It got 2 home in a row. Then got the third against Fulham as
Yeah,
well.
so I think they've done it differently, haven't they? They've done like pre-Christmas and post-Christmas differently this year.
Yeah, we've got a bit of travelling, I think, as well, which is a bit.
Yeah, so what we got? Two London games, isn't it?
Going up to Millwall on Boxing Day, a bit grim, isn't it, for the players?
Oh, I done one of the worst away days I did was QPR away on Boxing Day.
Yeah,
Scarred for life.
when Tarapt had a field day.
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah, it was there. It was terrible, and it was about -10 as well. It was ridiculous.
Well, let's hope we have a good festive period, bounce back from this little mini rut of what we're going on. But yeah, I think we'll end it there. It's been just over an hour, 1 hour and 1 minute, actually. So it's been a good one. Hopefully we can keep adapting our production quality on this StreamYard setup to work better. It's good that we can share the screen now, so in a better way. So if we can obviously use that a bit more, unless you're listening on Spotify, where obviously you can't see what we're showing. But if you want to see what we're showing, then head over to YouTube, where you can catch all of our podcasts as well. And on that note, don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to reach 500, and we will be doing a giveaway when we hit that target. So I believe we're like 80 off or so, perhaps. I can't remember exactly, 80 odd. And like the video as well to help push the video out to more Swans fans. And then you can all engage in the comments together and let us know if we're talking rubbish or if you agree with us and what you thought of the last 2 games that we discussed in this video. And maybe answer the question in the comments then, like Steve Cooper, yes or no. Were you happy with his time here, or do we just need to move on and forget about him? Anything to add there, Lee?
No, nothing from me.
There we are, and we shall catch you in the next one. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Soon.